The evening sun cast a warm glow across the large mansion as preparations for the engagement continued. Everyone in the house moved quickly but with a quiet excitement. The Malhotra family was known for their wealth, but even more for their kindness. At the center of all the attention was Arjun, the only son of the family. He had a gentle smile that made people feel comfortable around him. And though he had grown up with every comfort in life, he had remained humble. Arjun was set to be engaged to Priya, a woman who seemed almost perfect from the outside. She came from a respected family, was soft-spoken, and carried herself with elegance that impressed everyone. Whenever she walked into a room, people noticed her. She had a way of speaking that made others feel she truly cared. Arjun admired her warmth and believed he had found someone he could trust and build a life with. But not everyone felt the same way. Meera, the longtime maid who had worked for the Malhotra family for years, had her doubts. She never judged people without reason, but she always trusted her instincts. Living in the same house as the family for so long, she had watched Arjun grow from a little boy into the responsible man he was now. She cared for him like a son. So when Priya entered their lives, Meera wanted to feel happy for him, but something about Priya made her uneasy. It began with small things. Meera noticed that Priya was polite in front of the family, but often cold toward the staff when no one else was watching. She gave instructions in a tone that felt harsh. Yet as soon as a family member walked in, her voice softened and her smile returned. It was a small detail, barely noticeable to someone who didn't spend much time around her. But Meera saw it clearly. Still, she said nothing. She reminded herself that maybe she was overthinking. After all, everyone had their flaws, and it wasn't her place to interfere. The family liked Priya, and Arjun seemed genuinely happy. That should have been enough. One afternoon, as Meera arranged fresh flowers in the hallway, she overheard Priya speaking on the phone in a low but tense voice. The words were not clear, but the tone surprised her. It wasn't the gentle voice Priya used around the family. It was sharp and impatient, almost angry. When Priya noticed Meera nearby, she quickly ended the call and forced a smile. "Just wedding preparations," she said lightly, before walking away. Meera nodded, pretending not to think anything of it, but she felt a small twist of worry inside her. She wondered why Priya sounded so different when she thought no one was listening, as the engagement day drew closer. The mansion became even busier. Decorators came and went. Staff carried trays of sweets and drinks, and family members arrived from different cities. Laughter and conversation filled the house. But even during the cheerful chaos, Meera kept noticing moments that made her pause. There were evenings when Priya left the mansion without telling anyone where she was going. Sometimes she returned looking worried or angry, only to change her expression the moment she entered the house. There were times she asked the staff to throw away papers without letting anyone see them. And once, Meera spotted her in the guest room writing something in a small notebook, then hiding it quickly when footsteps approached. Perhaps these things were harmless, Meera told herself again. Perhaps Priya simply had personal matters she didn't want to share yet, but the feeling in her chest remained heavy. Meanwhile, Arjun remained happy and excited. He often talked about the future, how he wanted to start new business projects, how he wished to travel with Priya after the wedding, how he felt grateful to have found someone who understood him. When he spoke, his eyes lit up, and it made Meera hesitate even more. She didn't want to say anything that might seem like she was interfering. She didn't want to cause trouble without being sure. As the days passed, the mansion became beautifully decorated with white flowers and shimmering lights. The family wanted the engagement ceremony to be simple, yet elegant. Friends and relatives praised Priya for helping plan everything so perfectly. She acted calm and graceful around them, thanking them kindly and talking about how lucky she felt to be joining the Malhotra family. But her charm did not change Meera's uneasiness. One night, while cleaning the living room after everyone had gone to sleep, Meera saw Priya standing alone in the garden, talking on the phone again. She looked upset, pacing back and forth. This time, Meera could hear a few words clearly. "He trusts me completely. Just a little more time. Don't worry, everything will be done." A chill went through Meera. Those words did not sound like anything related to wedding planning. But before she could listen further, Priya ended the call and walked back inside. Mira quickly moved away so Priya wouldn't see her. Her hands trembled slightly as she returned to her work. That night, Mira couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about what she heard. She reminded herself again and again that she had no proof of anything wrong. What if she misunderstood? What if Priya was just stressed about the upcoming ceremony? Yet the uneasy feeling refused to fade. The next day, while helping set up the dining area, Mira noticed another strange moment. Priya was standing with a man she didn't recognize. They were speaking quietly near the front gate. The man looked nervous, glancing around as if afraid of being seen. Priya handed him a small envelope, and he walked away quickly. When Priya turned and saw Mira looking in their direction, she froze for a second. Then she smiled again, a smile that looked forced. "Just a delivery," she said before walking past her. Mira felt her heart beat faster. Something was wrong. She knew it now. She didn't have the full picture, but she felt sure Priya was hiding something important. But what could she do? How could she tell the family without any clear evidence? They trusted Priya, and they trusted Mira too. The last thing she wanted was to create chaos based only on suspicion. As the engagement day approached, the atmosphere in the mansion grew even more festive. Guests arrived early, relatives brought gifts, and the sound of music filled the halls. Priya walked around, greeting everyone with a smile. She looked like the perfect bride-to-be. But every time Mira saw her, she remembered the hushed phone call, the hidden notebook, the secret meeting by the gate. One evening, Arjun called Mira aside. He thanked her for all her hard work and told her how grateful he was to have her around. He said the house would not feel the same without her. His kind words brought tears to Mira's eyes. She had been with the family for so many years, and she knew how much they trusted her. She wished she could tell him everything she had seen, but she held back. Still, her heart felt heavy with worry as she watched Arjun walk away. Smiling and unaware of the danger she felt was coming, Mira made a silent promise to herself. She would keep her eyes open. She would watch carefully. And if she found anything more, anything that proved her fears were real, she would not stay silent. No matter how difficult it might be, for now, the celebrations continued. But Mira couldn't shake the feeling that behind the music, behind the lights, behind Priya's perfect smile, something dark was waiting to unfold. The day after the final rehearsal for the engagement, the mansion felt unusually quiet. The staff had been working non-stop for weeks, and everyone was tired but excited. Arjun, however, moved through the rooms with energy and enthusiasm that refused to fade. He had spent the morning checking the arrangements, inspecting the flower arrangements, and ensuring that every detail was perfect. Priya, by his side, looked serene and composed. Her smile never wavered, and she seemed to glide gracefully from room to room, accepting compliments with humility. Mira, watching from a distance, felt a strange mix of admiration and concern. She admired Arjun's energy, his kindness, and the way he genuinely cared for everyone in the house. But at the same time, she felt her uneasiness grow. She had seen Priya disappear into rooms, make secretive calls, and exchange envelopes with unknown people. None of it was concrete proof, but the feeling in her gut was stronger than any doubt. It was during breakfast that she noticed the first, unusual moment of the day. Priya had taken a tray with Arjun's favorite breakfast to him in the garden. Mira followed at a distance to make sure everything went smoothly. When Priya thought no one was looking, she slipped something into Arjun's juice glass. Mira's heart skipped a beat. She squinted, hoping she was imagining things. But it was too deliberate, too precise. She had seen enough little oddities to know that something wasn't right. Arjun took the juice without noticing. Thanking Priya and sipping happily, Mira decided it was not the moment to confront anyone. There was no way to tell if it was harmful or simply a mistake. Still, she felt a chill run down her spine. She had to keep watching. Later that day, she noticed Priya speaking quietly on the phone again. Mira stayed in the hallway, pretending to sweep the floor, but listening intently. Priya said something about a meeting and mentioned that the plan was on track. Mira's mind raced. What plan? Why was Arjun so unaware? She wanted to step in and confront Priya right then and there, but she didn't. She knew she needed more information. If she acted too soon, it could backfire and put everyone in danger. That afternoon, as Arjun and Priya took a short walk through the garden, Mira saw them through the window. Priya seemed nervous, glancing over her shoulder as if afraid of being watched. Mira noticed her fidgeting with a small piece of paper. She couldn't see what was written, but the way Priya's eyes darted around made her more suspicious. The day passed slowly for Mira. Every small movement of Priya's caught her attention. Every glance, every hushed whisper, every secretive action added to the growing worry. Mira had spent decades in the Malhotra household, and she had learned to trust her instincts. This feeling was different from any unease she had felt before. This was urgent, intense, and personal. Arjun was at risk, and she felt responsible to protect him. That evening, the household gathered to practice the formalities for the engagement ceremony. Priya stood at the center, elegantly directing the flow, showing grace and poise that everyone admired. Arjun followed her lead, completely trusting her, unaware of Mira's watchful eyes. Mira noticed that Priya took a small, secretive step to the side, reaching into her purse and pulling out a tiny envelope. She whispered something to one of the family's security guards and handed it over. Mira's heart raced. She did not know the content, but it was clear something unusual was happening. Unable to focus any longer, Mira excused herself from the room, pretending to check the kitchen, and made her way to the security office. She tried to quietly ask about the envelope, but the guard looked confused. "I don't know what you're talking about," he said. Mira nodded, hiding her frustration. She realized she would have to find proof herself. Over the next few days, Mira became more vigilant. She kept a careful watch on Priya, noting every secretive phone call, every sudden disappearance, and every unusual conversation with outsiders. She even began taking mental notes of when Priya entered certain rooms, what she carried with her, and whom she met outside the house. One afternoon, while dusting the shelves in the library, Mira noticed Priya slipping into a room on the top floor, locking the door behind her. The room was usually off limits to anyone except Priya. Mira waited a few minutes, then carefully approached the door. She could hear voices, a man and Priya, talking in hurried tones. The man's voice was low, almost pleading, and Priya's was firm, insistent, and sharp. Mira could catch only fragments. "Make sure it's ready," the man said. Priya replied, "I've got everything under control. Don't worry, it will work out exactly as we planned." Mira's chest tightened. She did not know what exactly was planned, but the tone of the conversation alarmed her deeply. It was not normal, not like wedding preparations, not like the harmless matters of daily life. She had no proof yet, but her instinct screamed that Priya had an agenda. That night, after everyone had gone to bed, Mira could not sleep. She paced quietly in her small room, replaying every observation in her mind. The picture was becoming clearer. Priya had a plan, and Arjun was unaware. The thought of him being hurt or betrayed filled Mira with dread. She had to find a way to uncover the truth. To protect him before it was too late, the following day, a small delivery arrived for Priya. Mira watched as Priya opened it carefully, revealing documents, a small notebook, and what appeared to be a list of names. Priya glanced around to make sure no one was watching, then slipped the items into a hidden compartment in her purse. Mira noted every detail. These documents could be important. She had to find a way to see them. Later, during a family meeting about the engagement, Priya sat beside Arjun, smiling and laughing, her charm on full display. Everyone in the room praised her for her grace and organizational skills. Arjun looked at her with admiration, proud and convinced that he had found the perfect partner. Mira watched quietly, her mind torn. How could someone who appeared so kind and loving be hiding such secrets? As the evening grew late, Mira made a decision. She would keep watching, but more actively now. She would find proof of Priya's intentions, whatever it took. She could not sit by and let Arjun be hurt. She was willing to take risks, even if it meant exposing herself. The next morning, Mira began a careful plan. She pretended to clean rooms that were usually off limits to her, moved quietly through the corridors, and observed every corner of the mansion. She watched Priya meet with the same man she had seen before, exchanging small items and talking in hurried whispers. Every encounter confirmed that there was a secret plan in motion. Mira realized that she was close to understanding the full picture. She began taking notes secretly, noting dates, times, and details of Priya's secret meetings and phone calls. The more she observed, the more convinced she became that Arjun was in danger. But how could she tell him without risking the entire household? One afternoon, Arjun came to her room, cheerful and unaware of the tension growing in Mira's heart. He thanked her for all her hard work, for keeping the house in perfect order, and for always looking out for him. Mira smiled, her eyes filling with tears she did not allow to fall. She wanted to warn him so badly, but she had to be careful. She told him everything was fine, hiding the fear that kept her awake at night. Days passed, each one filled with careful observation and silent worry. Mira knew that time was running out. The engagement was only days away, and she feared that whatever Priya was planning would come to fruition soon. She could not let that happen. She had to find a way to stop it, to reveal the truth. Before it was too late, every night, Mira lay awake, thinking about Arjun's future, about the trust he had placed in Priya, and about the courage it would take to expose the truth. She knew that she might face disbelief, that Priya would deny everything, and that it could cause turmoil in the family. But Mira also knew that the risk was worth it. Protecting Arjun and the family she loved more than anything in the world was her responsibility. The day before the engagement rehearsal, Mira noticed something that made her heart race. Priya had left her purse unattended in the living room for a few minutes. Mira seized the opportunity. With trembling hands, she carefully opened it and found the documents, the notebook, and the list of names. Her eyes widened as she skimmed the contents. It confirmed everything she had feared. Priya's intentions were not honorable, and Arjun was in real danger. Mira knew she could not wait any longer. She had to find a way to reveal the truth, but she had to do it carefully. She could not let Priya see her acting, and she had to ensure that the family would believe her. The responsibility weighed heavily on her, but she felt a surge of determination. This was her chance to protect Arjun, to stop a disaster before it happened, as she put everything back in the purse and made sure it was exactly as it had been. Mira felt a mix of fear and resolve. She had proof, and she would use it wisely. The next day would be crucial. She would have to confront the truth and ensure that Arjun was safe. But for now, she kept her secret, watching, waiting, and preparing for the moment when she could finally act. The morning sun streamed into the mansion, filling the rooms with a golden light that made the flowers shimmer and the polished floors gleam. Arjun moved through the house, cheerful and excited, unaware of the storm that was quietly approaching. Today was the day before the engagement, and every member of the family was busy with final touches. There was laughter, chatter, and the soft hum of music in the background, creating an atmosphere of joy and anticipation. Mira, however, could feel a tension that no one else seemed to notice. She had spent the past days watching Priya closely, gathering the evidence she needed. The documents she had found in Priya's purse confirmed her fears. The sense of urgency in her heart grew stronger with each passing hour. Arjun was completely unaware, trusting Priya completely, while she hid secrets that could hurt him in ways he could never imagine. Early that morning, Mira noticed Priya slip away to the study room, carrying her purse with a careful, guarded movement. Mira followed at a distance, careful not to be seen. She waited outside the study, listening as Priya spoke quietly on the phone. Priya's voice was firm, almost commanding, and the tone of the conversation made Mira's stomach churn. "Everything is set for tomorrow," Priya said. "Just make sure it all goes as planned. He trusts me completely." Mira felt a cold shiver run down her spine. The words confirmed what she had feared for days. Arjun was in danger, and time was running out. She could no longer wait for proof. She had enough to act. But how could she confront Priya without causing immediate panic? How could she protect Arjun without alerting Priya to her suspicion? While the household bustled with activity, Mira began planning carefully. She would need a strategy, a way to bring the truth to light while keeping everyone safe. She thought about Arjun and his trusting nature, how easily he could be deceived by someone who seemed so perfect. She remembered the way he had smiled at Priya that morning, completely oblivious to the danger. It hurt her heart to think of him being betrayed. As the day passed, Mira kept her distance but observed every movement. Priya moved gracefully through the rooms, directing staff, checking decorations, and charming relatives who had arrived early. She was impeccable in her presentation, yet Mira saw the hidden edge beneath the surface. Every gesture, every whisper to someone in private, every furtive glance told a story that the family could not see. In the afternoon, Mira saw Priya meeting with the same man she had observed before. The man looked nervous, holding a small envelope, while Priya seemed calm and confident. They spoke in low voices, exchanging papers and whispering quickly before parting ways. Mira carefully memorized their meeting, knowing it was critical evidence. She realized that Priya's plan involved others outside the house, making it more dangerous than she had initially thought. Later, Mira went to the kitchen, pretending to organize supplies. From there, she could see Priya handling documents with precise attention, glancing around to ensure no one was watching. Mira's hands shook slightly as she observed. She was gathering the final pieces she needed to reveal the truth. Her mind raced with the steps she would take once the engagement preparations were complete. She could not allow Arjun to be harmed or deceived. The thought of him being hurt filled her with determination and fear. The evening arrived, and the mansion glowed with lights and decorations. Flowers adorned every corner, and the scent of fresh arrangements filled the air. Arjun and Priya rehearsed their steps for the ceremony, smiling and laughing as though nothing were wrong. Arjun's happiness was genuine, and his trust in Priya was absolute. Mira watched quietly, her heart heavy with the burden of the secret she carried, while everyone else prepared for dinner. Mira decided to act carefully. She retrieved the documents and notebook Priya had hidden and began going through them. There were names, dates, and instructions that outlined a plan she could not ignore. Priya intended to manipulate Arjun, and the evidence was undeniable. Mira's pulse quickened. She had confirmation, but now the challenge was how to act wisely. She had to protect Arjun and ensure the family believed her. As she worked, Priya returned, glancing around suspiciously. Mira quickly moved the papers back into the purse, pretending to tidy the room. Priya's eyes lingered for a moment, her expression unreadable. Then she smiled, a smile that was warm to everyone else, but felt cold to Mira. "Everything's on schedule," Priya said softly, walking past her. Mira nodded silently, her mind focused on the plan she would need to follow. Later that night, the household was quiet. Most of the staff had gone to bed, and the family had retired to their rooms. Mira sat quietly in her own room, reviewing everything she had learned. She had enough information to confront Priya or reveal the truth to Arjun, but she had to be careful. Priya was clever, and any sudden move could put Arjun at greater risk. Mira thought about every possible scenario, weighing the risks and consequences of each. As she considered her options, she remembered how much Arjun trusted her. That trust was her greatest asset. She realized that she could use her position to guide him gently toward the truth. Without startling him or causing unnecessary fear, she had to act delicately, step by step, to ensure the outcome was safe and successful. The next morning, Mira noticed Priya preparing for the engagement with unusual precision. She checked everything twice, arranging items carefully, consulting with staff and reviewing her notes. The meticulous behavior confirmed that Priya's plan was close to execution. Mira felt a surge of urgency. She had to act before the engagement ceremony, or the consequences could be severe. During breakfast, Arjun chatted happily with Priya, oblivious to the tension around him. Mira observed silently, taking in every detail. She noticed Priya slipping a note into Arjun's hand while he was distracted, her movements quick and controlled. Mira's stomach tightened. She did not know what was written on the note, but she knew it could be part of Priya's plan. She had to intercept it carefully. After breakfast, Mira waited for an opportunity. When Priya stepped away to assist a guest, Mira quickly retrieved the note from where Priya had left it. She glanced at the content and realized it was a set of instructions that could manipulate Arjun into making decisions he would later regret. Mira's heart raced. This was the proof she needed to take action. Now, It was only a matter of timing. Throughout the morning, Mira continued to observe Priya closely. Every small movement, every whispered word, every secretive glance reinforced the truth she had uncovered. Priya's charm, her grace, and her apparent kindness were all part of a carefully constructed facade. Behind it, there was a plan that could harm Arjun and the family. Mira felt a deep sense of responsibility. She could not let this happen. By midday, Mira had gathered all the documents, notes, and evidence she could find. She had memorized every detail of Priya's movements and interactions. She knew exactly how the plan was supposed to unfold. With this knowledge, she felt a mix of fear and determination. The next steps would be crucial. She had to act with precision and courage. As the engagement ceremony drew closer, the mansion buzzed with activity. Relatives arrived, flowers were arranged, and the final touches were completed. Arjun and Priya moved through the rooms, smiling and laughing as if nothing were wrong. Mira moved quietly behind the scenes, keeping watch, ready to intervene if necessary. That evening, Mira decided it was time to prepare for a confrontation. She would need to reveal the truth, but she had to do it in a way that protected Arjun and ensured the family would listen. She reviewed the evidence once more, making sure she had everything she needed. She rehearsed how she would present the facts, how she would remain calm, and how she would ensure Arjun's safety. As she sat quietly, watching the family enjoy a peaceful evening, Mira felt a deep resolve. The time for hesitation was over. She had the proof, she had the plan, and she had the courage. Tomorrow, she would act. She would reveal Priya's intentions, protect Arjun, and ensure that the family was safe from harm. The responsibility weighed heavily on her, but she was ready. The next chapter of this story was about to unfold, and Mira would be at the center, guiding the family through the truth and protecting the person she loved like her own son. The day of the engagement arrived, and the mansion was alive with excitement and celebration. Guests from near and far had gathered, bringing laughter, gifts, and warm wishes. The house was adorned with flowers, lights, and delicate decorations that shimmered in the sunlight. Everything seemed perfect, a moment the family had been anticipating for months. Yet, beneath the surface, tension hummed quietly in the air. Unnoticed by most, but deeply felt by Mira, Mira moved carefully through the crowd, keeping a watchful eye on Priya. Priya was the picture of grace and charm, greeting guests with flawless politeness and a warm smile. She moved with confidence, interacting with relatives and family friends, earning praise for her elegance and attention to detail. To anyone else, she seemed perfect. But Mira saw the hidden sharpness behind her eyes, the subtle calculations in her every move. Mira's heart pounded. The time had come to act, and she needed to protect Arjun before it was too late. As the ceremony began, Arjun walked into the hall, radiating happiness. He was dressed elegantly, his eyes sparkling as he looked at Priya. He had no idea that the woman he trusted completely had hidden intentions that could hurt him. He smiled at Mira briefly, grateful for her presence, and then turned his attention back to Priya. Every step he took was filled with excitement and anticipation. Mira felt a mixture of relief that he was safe for now, and anxiety about what could happen if Priya's plan moved forward unchecked. During the initial greetings, Mira noticed Priya reaching for a small envelope hidden in her clutch. The motion was quick, almost imperceptible to anyone not paying close attention. Mira's stomach tightened. She knew this could be part of Priya's plan to manipulate Arjun or influence the ceremony in a way that would serve her hidden motives. She quietly followed Priya, making sure she could intercept anything suspicious without alerting her. At one point, Priya stepped aside and handed the envelope to a man waiting near the hall entrance. They exchanged a few hushed words, and the man quickly left. Mira observed carefully, memorizing the details. It was clear that Priya was working with others outside the family, coordinating actions that could put Arjun in a vulnerable position. Mira realized she had to act now. Waiting any longer could be dangerous. She quietly approached Arjun during a brief pause in the ceremony and gently took him aside. He looked at her, puzzled by her serious expression. "What is it, Mira?" he asked, concern in his voice. "Arjun," she whispered. No. You need to know the truth about Priya. She's not who she appears to be. I have proof that she has been planning something that could hurt you. Please trust me. Arjun's eyes widened in disbelief. What do you mean? That can't be true, he said, shaking his head. Priya! She loves me! I've known her for months. How could she do anything like that? Mira nodded gently, understanding his shock. I know it's hard to believe, but I've seen it, and I have the evidence. I can show you everything. You need to act carefully, but you must know the truth before it's too late. Reluctantly, Arjun followed Mira to a quiet room away from the crowd. She laid out the documents, the notebook, and the notes she had collected over the past days. Arjun's hands trembled slightly as he read through the evidence. With each detail, the shock in his eyes grew. The truth he had been blind to was finally unfolding before him. Priya's plan was real, and he had been completely unaware. For a moment, Arjun felt a surge of anger, confusion, and betrayal. He had trusted Priya completely, and now that trust had been shattered. He leaned back in his chair, taking deep breaths, trying to process what he had just learned. Mira stayed by his side, offering quiet support and reassurance. She knew that Arjun needed time to absorb the reality, and she would be there for him every step of the way. Once Arjun had processed enough to act, Mira suggested they confront Priya carefully. They would need to handle the situation delicately to ensure the safety of the family and prevent chaos during the engagement. Arjun nodded, steeling himself for what needed to be done. When they approached Priya, she was talking to a guest, her smile still perfect, and her demeanor composed. Arjun's voice was firm, though laced with hurt. Priya, we need to talk. Now. Priya's smile faltered for the first time, and her eyes narrowed slightly. About what? She asked, her voice calm but guarded. Arjun held up the documents Mira had collected. I know everything, Priya, all of it. The plans, the meetings, the hidden messages. I trusted you, and you were planning to deceive me. Why? Priya's expression changed rapidly, from shock to anger to a forced calm. You don't understand, she said, her voice low. It was supposed to be temporary. Everything was going to be fine. I had my reasons. Arjun shook his head, his disappointment clear. I trusted you. I believed in you. You used that trust to manipulate me. How could you think I would ever forgive that? At that moment, the household staff, alerted by Mira earlier, began gathering around. They had overheard parts of the confrontation and were ready to support Arjun. The guests in the hall began to notice the tension. Whispers filled the air. Priya realized that the situation was spiraling out of her control. Her carefully constructed facade was crumbling. Authorities were called quietly, and Priya was escorted out of the mansion. She protested, tried to explain, but the proof was undeniable. The documents, the notebook, and the intercepted communications confirmed her intentions. The family watched in shock and disbelief as the truth was revealed. Unable to understand how someone they had trusted could have deceived them so thoroughly, Arjun remained calm. Though his face showed the mix of relief and sadness he felt, he turned to Mira, gratitude shining in his eyes. Thank you for protecting me, he said softly. I don't know what I would have done without you. Mira smiled gently, her heart lightened by the outcome. You're safe now, and that's what matters, she replied. We'll get through this together. The engagement, once a day of celebration, had turned into a moment of revelation. The family was shaken, but the bonds between them grew stronger as they faced the truth together. They realized how easily appearances could be deceiving and how important it was to trust not just words, but actions and instincts. In the aftermath, Arjun reflected on the experience. He realized that trust must be earned and that appearances could be misleading. Mira's loyalty, courage, and attention to detail had saved him from a potential disaster. He felt a renewed sense of appreciation for the people who genuinely cared for him, and he understood the value of listening to those who had wisdom and experience. The household slowly returned to normal, though the lessons of the day lingered. Arjun was careful, more thoughtful, and more aware of the complexities of human relationships. He remained kind and trusting, but he had learned the importance of discernment. Mira continued to work in the mansion, her bond with Arjun and the family stronger than ever. She had proven that loyalty and courage could make a difference, and she felt a quiet satisfaction in knowing she had protected the person she cared for deeply. The family, now wiser and more united, looked forward to the future with caution, but also with hope. The day ended with a quiet sense of relief. Arjun, though still processing the betrayal, felt stronger, more aware, and grateful for those who had stood by him. Mira, quietly tending to her duties, felt the warmth of satisfaction and peace. The story of trust, deception, and courage had reached a turning point. And though challenges might come in the future, the bonds of love, loyalty, and truth had proven stronger than any deception. The days following the exposure of Priya's plan were quiet in the mansion. The engagement that had once promised celebration had become a moment of reflection for the family. Guests had departed, leaving the household to settle into its routine again. Yet even in the calm, there was a sense of renewal, a feeling that lessons had been learned and stronger bonds had formed. Arjun spent the mornings walking through the gardens, thinking deeply about everything that had happened. The trust he had placed in Priya had been broken, but he understood now the importance of discernment and careful observation. He realized how easily someone could hide their true intentions and how crucial it was to listen to the advice and instincts of those who cared for him. Mira joined him on one of these walks. She often did. She had always been a guiding presence in Arjun's life, and now her role felt even more significant. They walked quietly, letting the flowers and the gentle breeze soothe the lingering tension. Arjun finally spoke, his voice calm but reflective. "Mira, I can't thank you enough for what you did. I never imagined someone could deceive me like that, but your vigilance saved me. I owe so much to you." Mira smiled softly. "You don't owe me anything," she said. "I care about you, and I would do anything to keep you safe. That's what matters. You're learning something valuable, and that will guide you in the future." In the following days, Arjun spent time reviewing the household and ensuring that everything was secure. He consulted with family members and staff, making small adjustments to improve oversight and prevent anything similar from happening again. But he also focused on the positive lessons, the importance of honesty, loyalty, and trusting the instincts of those who had proven themselves to be reliable. The family gathered one evening in the main hall, a tradition they had kept since Arjun's childhood. They shared stories, reminisced about past events, and quietly acknowledged the recent turmoil. Even though there had been betrayal, there was a sense of unity. Everyone felt closer, more aware of each other's intentions, and more appreciative of the people who truly cared. Mira continued her work in the mansion, her presence a quiet source of strength and reassurance. She was praised for her courage, but she remained humble, insisting that she had only done what was necessary to protect Arjun and the family. Her actions were a reminder of the value of loyalty and careful attention, qualities that often went unnoticed but were essential to the household's well-being. Arjun reflected on the relationships in his life, realizing that trust had to be earned and maintained through actions, not just words. He understood that appearances could be deceiving and that people could hide their true intentions behind charm and kindness. The experience had been painful, but it had also taught him the importance of discernment and vigilance. With the immediate danger behind them, the family began to focus on rebuilding their sense of normalcy. Arjun resumed his work, planning future projects and ventures, but now with a renewed sense of caution and awareness. He remained kind and generous, but he was no longer naive. The lessons he had learned from Priya's betrayal would guide him in all future relationships and decisions. Mira remained by his side, a steady presence and trusted advisor. She continued to observe, guide, and support, ensuring that the household remained harmonious and secure. The bond between her and Arjun grew stronger, built on mutual respect, trust, and shared experiences. She felt a quiet satisfaction, knowing that her vigilance had made a real difference and that she had helped protect someone she cared for deeply. As the weeks passed, the mansion slowly regained its rhythm. There was laughter, light conversation, and moments of joy that reminded everyone of the warmth and love that bound the family together. Arjun felt a renewed sense of hope for the future, confident that he could navigate the complexities of life with wisdom, care, and the support of those who truly had his best interests at heart. The experience also left a lasting impression on the entire household. Staff members became more observant, more conscientious, and more attuned to the subtle signals that could indicate problems. They understood that loyalty and attentiveness were not just qualities of a good worker, but essential to the well-being of the family they served. Arjun took time to express his gratitude personally to each member of the household. He acknowledged Mira's courage and dedication, thanking her for her unwavering support. He also recognized the efforts of other staff members who had played small but important roles in maintaining the household's security and harmony. The recognition fostered a sense of pride and unity, reinforcing the family's collective strength. Over time, Arjun's outlook on life became more balanced. He remained open-hearted, kind, and generous, but he approached relationships and decisions with greater discernment. The experience with Priya had taught him that trust was precious and that it must be carefully nurtured and protected. He learned to value actions over appearances and to rely on the guidance of those who had proven themselves trustworthy.